curious your thoughts on what's going on in the Senate right now and whether this talking filibuster strategy has any chance at all.
I think that's what we're all going to find out, Tom. Great to be with you and your listeners. I just was on a press availability with Senator Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, and she just got asked that question, and I had to hop off to be here with you all. So I didn't get a chance to hear her exact answer. But, you know, this morning we had a Democratic caucus meeting in the House, and, you know, that Chuck Schumer was saying he would, you know, proposing every senator could speak twice. That's 200 speeches, you know, giving them every possible opportunity to do this and do the right thing, because we have to tackle these challenges with 500 laws in 49 states trying to make it harder for people to vote, and 34 of them have become law, Tom, in about, I think, 19 states. So, you know, it really is something we've got to address, and we do it before November. And, you know, unfortunately, the Republicans are following lockstep with whatever Donald Trump still wants, whether it be on the fantasy of the election results where he lost by one of the largest margins, or the largest margin in American history, 7 million votes, or the fact that there's somehow this voter fraud that even in Wisconsin, our nonpartisan professional agencies have said at most they could find maybe 35 instances in the entire state of Wisconsin in November of 20.
Yeah, and I'm willing to bet more than half of them voted for Trump. What else is on your radar screen here? Typically, I just open it up and throw it to you, saying, "What are you paying attention to? What's going on?"
I mean,
so let me do that again.
Absolutely, voting rights. You know, we're waiting right now for the Senate to act on two things, right, in the House. One is voting rights. Two is if they can give us some form of a Build Back Better bill to finish the president's agenda that he had in the American Rescue Plan and the infrastructure bill. We need this third component to really help as many people as possible. So those are the two things that we're really waiting on the most. We've had a fairly light week in the House last week and this week because we're ready to act when the Senate does. But we also are, as someone who serves on the Appropriations Committee, we have until February 18th to try to get our budget done. I'd rather not see us kick the can again. Rosa DeLauro, the chair of the Appropriations Committee, is doing a wonderful job in trying to get that done. So there's a lot happening, even though I think right now most eyes are focused on the voting rights legislation.
I'm curious, assuming that the voting rights legislation goes down in flames, and we're seeing already, Republicans down in Georgia using this new law that, taking over election boards, firing all the black people on the assumption that they must be Democrats. And then like in Lincoln County, which is a fairly large county in Georgia, they just closed 6 out of the 7 voting locations in that county, and the one that they're leaving open is kind of in the center of the whitest town in the county, as far as I can tell, and from having lived in Georgia, my recollection. If we are in a situation where they absolutely have succeeded, and they put these voter restrictions, and they continue to be in place all around the country, and they continue purging hundreds of thousands, millions of people off the voting rolls, which seems like, to me, frankly, the most insidious part of the whole thing, because you don't even know until you show up to vote in many cases. What are your thoughts on the possibility that this might produce a backlash in 2022 and 2024? This is what I'm reading on the conservative websites, right? Look out. There's a backlash coming. There are even more, people that were trying to suppress the vote. They're going to show up. Or do you think that the Republicans will be successful? What does this augur for the future?
Yeah, I think the Republicans have a tough message. On one hand, they're saying there's voter fraud that everyone is seeing doesn't exist, and that all these laws are really just trying to be politicians picking their voters rather than the other way around, along with gerrymandering also coming up this election cycle. But also, by saying that your vote doesn't count, are they telling their own supporters to not bother to come out? So I think they've got a confusing message, and I don't think their supporters like being confused, because much of their life, I believe, is. And if you give them this, you're going to be potentially taking a risk. It's much like Donald Trump now when he talks about vaccinations and getting booed by the supporters, the very people that he created this fervor with. At some point you can create the Frankenstein monster, but you can't continue to control it. And I think the Republicans are in a really tough spot on their messaging on voting.